Welcome everybody to WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. I'm the host of the show, and we've got an incredible lineup and a ton of betting information coming your way. It's also $5 Tuesday over at WagerTalk. Customer Appreciation Day in full swing. Let's get to what is going on. Teddy Covers is our first guest, and I'm excited to have him, guys. Normally the host with me on the show. Today is a guest, and not only that, but he's wearing a hoodie and not a blazer. A relaxed, calm Teddy Covers will be discussing the ACC championship game. SMU minus 2.5 against the Orange. Well, Clemson at least. I'm wearing their colors. He's also going to look at the Suns and the Spurs. Phoenix minus 7.5. A big total here of 230. Bryan Power will be up after that. He's looking at some EPL, that's English Premier League, Nottingham Forest, where Robin Hood lives, plus 1.5 goals against Manchester City. Looking forward to hearing that. And college football, Iowa State against Arizona State. We're going to end the show with Ron Cabang, 2 NBA plays, the Thunder and the Sixers games. I will have a daily presidential address. Is there an NFL game you guys want me to take apart? Let me know. I'll do that at the end of the show. Let's begin. Teddy, welcome as a guest, my brother. How are you today?
I'm relaxed, Lawrence. Yes. It's a whole different mindset coming as a guest as opposed to a co-host because, for me, I'll be on here 10, 15 minutes and then I get to wave you goodbye.
I'd like
I'm doing okay today, Lawrence.
I'll wave you goodbye ahead of time. Teddy, let's talk ACC championship game right off the bat, and then we're going to get into some of the comments from yesterday's chat. But right now, we got a 9-3 Clemson team playing an 11-1 SMU team, and this SMU team is playing outstanding football, putting up a ton of points as well. 38, 33, 38, 48, 28, 40, and on and on and on. This is a tough team to stop. Clemson lost last week. I was on South Carolina. It was a 17-14 destruction. Wasn't a destruction, but we know what happened there. How are you betting this game, man? This is a fascinating football game.
It really is. I mean, Clemson has the pedigree. They've been here before many times. And in fact, they've won 7 of these games since 2015, whereas SMU, the upstarts. And yet they are the favorites. As you mentioned, right now, looking at the WagerTalk free live odds screen, SMU minus 2.5, total of 56.5/57 for the ACC championship game on Saturday night. And look, let's be real. Loser of this game's not getting in. SMU, if they lose, well, guess what? They're a 2-loss SMU team, and somebody like, say, Alabama, another 2-loss team might get in ahead of them. One would think so. And Clemson's certainly not getting in as a 4-loss team. So there is a ton on the line with this ACC title game. Clemson kind of backdoored their way in, Miami losing at Syracuse last week, and SEC had already clinched. Last weekend had a pretty easy go against Cal. 8-0 for SMU in their first season of ACC play, picking up right where they left off last year. Have a chance to make some history. The first team that could win consecutive conference titles in 2 different leagues. Before I really break it down, let me promote for just a moment. I'm running good, guys. 67% all sports run over the last week. I'm 10-5, my last 15 in the NFL, 62% since September. The NBA's hot, 67% run, on plus 199 units since 2012. You can take advantage and get on board. Get all December, just $199 every play, every day, in every sport, which is normal price $299. You take $100 off of that if you want to get on board. No promo code needed, or use TC365 at checkout. Get 1 year all access. Just $99 a month. That's every play, every day, in every sport. $99 a month. TC365 at checkout. So we talk about SMU. What'd they lose? They have 11-1 overall. They lost week 2 to BYU. That ended up being a pretty good team. But they've only been underdogs twice all year. They were underdogs at Louisville. They were early home dogs to TCU, which shows where they were power rated early in the season, which is not great. And in terms of stepping up against quality competition, we haven't seen a ton of that from SMU. That being said, I am a believer in Kevin Jennings and this offense. All right, 30-plus points in 8 of their last 9 games. And only when they didn't, they won 28-27 at Duke. They had 6 turnovers in that contest and still ended up with 28 points. But the key to this bet, for me at least, is that SMU defense. All right, a defense that Clemson has a better defense. And in general, we're looking for quality defenses catching points. But it's not like SMU hasn't been getting stops all year defensively. And I don't trust Clemson's offense to move the football. Look, Clemson had 3 step-up games this season. They lost to Louisville. They lost to South Carolina. They lost to Georgia, 0-3 ATS. And in those 3 games, 14, 17, and 3 points. All right, they haven't scored more than 24 in any game against an FBS foe since the 3rd week of October. Sorry, this offense isn't good enough to trade points with SMU, and I don't think they can get stops for 4 full quarters. Clemson's offensive line has struggled repeatedly to open holes for the running backs. And Klubenik has been under pressure. That's why he threw all those interceptions last weekend. Why he might throw some here. If I'm playing, I'm laying. Mustangs or pass for this better. Lawrence?
Teddy, I got 2 quick questions here, and let's start with the first one. On Friday we had Dave Mason on, and one of the things we spoke about is why is the money line different in every game in relation to the spread? We've got a -2.5. In some games, the money line could be up to -160 with a -2.5. It's -135. It feels to me like that would be the right bet here instead of laying the 2.5 points. Why are you going with the 2.5 points instead of laying 25 cents extra?
25 cents extra. You're capturing 1 and 2. If this game comes down to 1 and 2 and the 25 cents is worth it, I'll look like an idiot. In general, money lines for me, for favorites, -1.5, -2. Once you get to 2.5, the juice is a little bit too high. And look, if I'm right about this game, and there's a class difference between these 2 offenses, I don't think it's going to matter. And if it matters, again, that's 25 cents for, and again, the 135, that's not the prevailing number for this. Look at the WagerTalk free live odds screen. -135 is the best you're going to find for this money line. So really, for most clients, it's 30 or 35 cents to capture the 1 and the 2.
That's
in my mind, that's a little bit too much for this. Yeah.
And I agree. I think once you get to 145, you're right. It's too much. But if you can get 135, I think there's value there. My second question is, and you mentioned this at the top when you discussed pedigree. How much of a concern is it for you on that pedigree perspective? Because this SMU team, nobody saw this coming at the beginning of the season. They are absolutely rolling. They've won 9 in a row here. Is this one of those where they're just happy to be here, or
no.
No? So this team is good enough to lay the smackdown.
They won a conference title last year. So certainly Clemson has the name. All right. They've been in these games. They've been playing for national championships. SMU hasn't.
Yeah.
But when we talk about recent form, the last couple of years, SMU has a pedigree that makes me comfortable that they deserve to be favorites over Clemson, despite Clemson's success 3 and 5 and 7 years ago.
To me, the best component of this game really is the fact that Clemson just cannot seem to get any consistent drives going. And you're right. I mean, that SMU team, they've allowed 1 touchdown in their last 2 games, 13 points in their last 2 games. Take SMU -2.5 against Clemson. That's what Teddy Covers says. Teddy, we had unbelievable, like an amazing amount of comments yesterday on our video, and I really think you should go back and read them, bro. I know you don't spend a lot of time reading the comments, but there was a lot of love for you yesterday. People are very disappointed. Now, look, take this with a grain of salt. If there's 30 people that were disappointed and took time out of their day to comment, there were about 8,000 people who didn't. So not everybody is reeling, but there were a lot of love for you. And people are going to miss you being on the show. I'm going to miss you being on the show. Those comments are definitely worth reading. That is for sure. But I just wanted to let you know you're going to be missed from my perspective and from a lot of people's perspective. The comments were sensational. And a lot of people were like, you're the only reason they watch this show. Screw the damn Prez.
Well, clearly. But look, it's unbelievably flattering, unbelievably humbling, to recognize, because we do this show. We've done the show every day since 2020, Lawrence. I mean, literally, every weekday. And it just becomes part of the routine. You don't think about the impact it has on other people. When I first moved to Vegas, all right, my first show that I listened to religiously, it's called the Stardust Line. It was on the coming out of the Stardust Racing Sportsbook at a Friday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday night. And the Sunday night show went through every game on the board for college football and the NFL that week. And I listened to it religiously. It was the show for me in terms of getting my education and learning some stuff about sports betting that I didn't know. Dave Belinsky was on, Arnie Lang was on that show. I mean, some real legends, Russ Culver.
Yep.
And then the next year, they're like, okay, bye. We're done with it. And I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do every Sunday night? It's almost panic. You find a way. You find your own. So I understand it's, and again, we didn't give any, there was no.
What is that?
I don't know. It's someone cheering for you. But I mean, we didn't hint at it. It kind of came out of the blue. We just sort of, it's all right. I'm done doing the show as a host every day. So I understand that it might have come as a shock, but it'll be fine. I promise. You guys, Lawrence will be fine. You'll see me all over the place on WagerTalk programming. It's not like we're disappearing off the face of the earth. But it's very flattering. And I genuinely, I will get in the comments today. I didn't have a chance yesterday, but I will get in the comments today and respond. And I want to thank you for all the support. Very, very flattering.
Very loved, Teddy. So nobody heard what we heard there. Dan's cat ran across his keyboard and created this noise in Teddy in my ear. For the record, I can't stand cats. I don't understand them. They are annoying. They live too long. They make me sneeze. They make my eyes water. I'm not a cat guy. Okay, so Teddy, the San Antonio Spurs, winners of 5 of their last 6 games, playing really good ball right now, brother. They're playing the Phoenix Suns, who, well, although they've won 2 of 3, are in a little bit of a bad spot. I mean, this is a team that's lost 5 of 7, but they have dominated San Antonio head-to-head, 7-3 in their last 10. They're at home tonight. They're -7.5. Are you betting for Phoenix to start getting on a run, and San Antonio sort of having their letdown, or is it the other way around? Where are we going here?
So the fact that I get to come into this and immediately correct you on mistakes that you made in introducing the game just cracks me up. Of course, let's talk about the Spurs and the Suns right now, looking at the WagerTalk free live odds screen. We're seeing 7.5 pretty much across the board. There are a couple 7s out there for Phoenix. Total's been bet down a little bit. It was 230. Now we're seeing 229.5/229. But as you mentioned, Lawrence, Phoenix has won 2 of their last 3 games following a 5-game skid. Of course, when they had the 5-game skid, they were playing without Kevin Durant. Since Durant's been back, obviously they played much better. But they're 2-6 ATS at -4 or higher this year. They've repeatedly failed in this role. Chalk hasn't been the role for Phoenix so far. They lost straight up to the Nets. They're last try in this role. They were 9-point favorites over the weekend, and that was with Durant back in the lineup. Now, the Spurs did win last time out, an 8-point win over Golden State. But how did they do that? They had huge contributions from the bench and the role players, which has not been the normal MO for Phoenix this season. Tyus Jones did a big game, and the bench was outstanding. Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, Monty Morris, they all had big games. They shot 51% from three-point range, and they beat Golden State by 8. So with all of those contributions, with a great three-point shooting night, they still wasn't a blowout for Phoenix. And obviously, they have been a team that prior to the return of Durant hadn't been playing good basketball. Now, Bradley Beal, there were some questions about whether he's supposed to play tonight. He's likely to be in the lineup, but their big man, Jusuf Nurkic, he's not expected to play this evening, and that matters. We're talking about going up against Victor Wembanyama. Before I talk about the Spurs piece of the equation, let me let you know what's going on. $5 Tuesday over at WagerTalk.com today. I have a $5 Tuesday play up right now for Boise UNLV on Friday night. Hit 80% in college football last week in a nice 4-1 weekend. And this close to 5-0 is all I'm going to say. We'll see if we can cash another one on Friday night. You can get my best bet, Boise UNLV, $5 today only at WagerTalk.com. So the Spurs struggled early on the highway. You know, they went 1-5 straight up, 2-4 ATS to open the season. They did cash 12.5, 13-point dogs when they lost by only 12 at OKC. But certainly nothing going to say, hey, we want San Antonio on the road. Well, the last 2 road games, they won straight up at Utah, at Sacramento. Trey Jones, questionable tonight. I do think he's going to play, but I'm not sure. But frankly, San Antonio is as healthy as they've been all year. They got Jeremy Sochan expected back in the lineup tonight, an impact player for them. Devin Vassal's back already. And for all the success that Phoenix has had against San Antonio, last year the Spurs went 3-1 against the Suns, including winning both games here in Phoenix. So it's been a one-sided series in favor of San Antonio in recent meetings. They were +7. They were +10.5. They won straight up as 12-point home dogs as well. Wembanyama is a very tough matchup for the Suns, especially with Nurkic out. I don't think Phoenix gets the level of bench production and role player production they had last time, and I'm expecting a battle, not a blowout. Give me San Antonio plus the points in Phoenix on Tuesday night. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
There you go. Teddy covers with San Antonio plus 7.5. He also likes SMU as well. Teddy, that was fun, man. You're going to be on the show every single Tuesday. Our first guest. Love having you with us. You have promoted twice. Is there anything left to say?
No, have a great day. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Get out of here, brother. Teddy covers everybody. Know what did bettors learn? We are going to add that segment back as we move forward, but we're going to continue the show. We've got Bryan Power coming up, as well as Ronald Cabang. Before we get into that, we have it's $5 Tuesday over at WagerTalk. If any of you guys have never purchased a play from WagerTalk, today is the perfect day to do it. It's $5, which is the price of a coffee lid at Starbucks. I don't even think you could get a coffee at Starbucks for $5. And basically you get not only the play from the handicapper, but you also get their analysis. You get to read how they handicap, what they think. It's a perfect entry spot for a lot of new clients. What do I have going in my $5 Tuesday? Well, I'm glad you asked. I have a 5% college football total. This is my first college football total that's 5% of the entire season. I am 69% in college football totals on the year. So that's an incredible run. I've really been seeing college football well. I went 3-1 on Saturday. I'm on a 7-3 run in college football, 19-9. I'm over 60% since the beginning of October in the sport. And just for the record, guys, I'm the number 2 most profitable handicapper in bowl season over the last 2 years at WagerTalk. So I know this sport and I know it well. and this is my first 5% college football total of the entire year. I would really like to break some records today, guys, and I'm serious with this. I want my 5% college football play to be the most sold play I've ever had in the history of Wager Talk. We've already had an amazing start. We're well over 100 people have already purchased that play. So $5, head over to Wager Talk, grab that bet. Let's bring in Bryan Power. And Bryan, before we even start with anything else, Rochester Johnny wants to know if we're excited about Barcelona. Are we excited about? I don't even know what he's talking about. And what the hell's going on with your hair?
Is something wrong with my hair? There's always a comment about my hair. I think it's pretty normal. It's pretty standard at this point.
It's like, no, dude,
it's
wind blown. It's so big.
Look,
I think it looks amazing. Like, your hair has never looked finer. But do you have a fan blowing it up? Did you put your finger in a plug?
No. I wanted to put my finger in a plug after Saturday, to be honest with you. But no product needed. It's just looking like this today, man. That's all I got to say. Barcelona is playing Mallorca. I have no take on that match, but I do have a take on Manchester City, Nottingham Forest, as you mentioned, coming up tomorrow. As we have a nice midweek Premier League slate.
Well, let's start with that Manchester City Forest game. So, as you know, I'm a City fan. Pep, I think, is the best coach, not only in soccer, I think he's the best coach in professional sports. I'm a huge fan of this team. They've got great scoring up front, excellent midfielder, goaltending is spectacular. Now they're playing Forest, which, frankly, stinks. Where should we go in this game?
Well, we're going to talk about recent form, Prez, and I'm going to make a statement. You made a statement about City. I'm going to make one that may raise some collective eyebrows here of the Wager Talk Today viewing audience. But I think the fact that Man City, that they're winless over their last 7 matches, is just about the most shocking thing we have seen in sport this entire calendar year. Not soccer. Any sport, the fact Man City has not won any of their last 7 matches is the downright most shocking thing I think we've seen in 2024. For those who are unaware, this is a club that's won the Premier League, as Prez alluded to, a record-setting 4 consecutive seasons. I don't think it's too controversial to say they were the best team in the world during that time. But now, not even top 4 in the table. It would take a borderline miracle to catch Liverpool, who are 13 points up after beating City 2-0 over the weekend. This is the first time, Prez, since 2008 that City have dropped 4 straight in the English top flight. Earlier I mentioned 7 in a row that they're winless overall. They've lost 6 of those, the other being a draw. So I don't see how you can lay the goal and a half here against Nottingham Forest on Wednesday afternoon. Yes, Nottingham Forest does not have the vaunted reputation of City, and I know this match is at the Etihad, but Prez, for the season, Forest is level with City on not only on points, but on goal difference. I don't think anyone thought we would be saying that on December 3rd. All season long, Forest, just 2 times they have lost by more than a goal. Remember, they're the only team that beat Liverpool. So give me the tricky trees plus 1.5. I'll take the 1.5 goal head start.
Yeah, and how about Liverpool? Did you see this coming at the beginning of the year? This is a team that has been at the top of the chart, the standings for a while, but never won 2. This was out of the blue.
I think history was against City, Prez. I thought it would be Arsenal. Personally, before the season, I predicted Arsenal would be the team that finished first. But Liverpool certainly, you knew that they always finished top 3. You knew they would be in the mix. But the fact that there is a 13-point gap now between Liverpool and City is downright shocking. It is Liverpool's title race to lose, no doubt about it. And Chelsea is back. The Blues are in there. So it looks like Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. It's going to be a fight for City just to get back in the top 4. It's going to be a fight for them just to get 3 points on Wednesday against Nottingham Forest. Again, I'll take the 1.5 head start with Forest there.
Bryan Power joining us, everyone. An outstanding handicapper. And Bryan, you do pretty much every sport except NHL, right?
That is correct. Yes, that is correct. Why do I do every sport? I love sports, but look,
why don't I do
NHL?
The NHL?
Because you can only do so many, Prez. I mean, between football, between soccer, between basketball. I mean, I've actually cut my volume way down to start this basketball season because up until this Saturday, as most people know, college football was running great. And I'd been so locked into it. Being locked into it was a reason why I was doing great. So look, something can't make the cut. I used to do UFC as well, but once UFC started going to cards every weekend, eventually, man, you can't get everything right all the time. You have to make some difficult decisions in life, cut some things out of the betting portfolio. And the NHL, I haven't bet the NHL in a long time, but I know you do. And
it amazes me though with soccer because literally if you do every league or every major league in soccer, I don't know how you have time to do any other sport. I mean, there are thousands of games.
Yeah. I mean, I focus on the top 4 domestic leagues, the Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A. And yeah, it does take a lot of time. So that was another reason why NHL got the boot and some other things we cut volume down on because yes, it does. There's a lot of teams in soccer, obviously, to keep track of.
Okay, let's turn our attention to some college football. This is a Saturday game. Iowa State. They're playing Arizona State. How are you betting this one? +2, by the way, to Iowa State.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if this is going to officially make my card for this Saturday, but I just wanted to come on here, Prez, let you know, let the people know. I think the wrong team's favored here. My power ratings say it should be Iowa State -2.5 over Arizona State. I understand ASU is 10-2 straight up, 10-2 against the number on the season. They've won and covered 5 straight, but for the record, one of those 2 times they didn't cover, I went against them. It was a 5% play. Some people might remember that back in September. I had Texas Tech. They beat the Sun Devils 30-22 at home. And this is an Arizona State team. I said this at the time back in September, and it's still true today. They have benefited from a lot of luck, a lot of close wins. They're top 5, 10 in my luck ratings nationally. Those are teams generally I'm looking to fade. This is an interesting trend too. I know that Ralph will probably be on the show sometime later in the week, but this is a trend. Maybe he'll talk about, maybe he won't. I think it's interesting. Last 7 times we've seen a team come into conference championship weekend on an ATS win streak of 5 or more games. Those teams are 0-6-1 against the number. So history says to fade ASU there. Also, teams coming into conference championship weekend, 75% ATS or better for the season, just 12-18 ATS last 30. I take my hat off, Prez, like many people should, for what Arizona State did this season. This was a team pegged for just 4 wins at the start of the season. People thought they would finish bottom 2 in the Big 12. Their first, not the top 2, bottom 2. Matt Campbell's great as a dog at Iowa State, 36-23-3 against the number. I think the Cyclones move the ball here. I think they score against the Arizona State defense that's allowed 5.6 yards per play the last 8 games and is 117th in touchdown percentage allowed in the red zone. Cyclones are the side I am looking at in the Big 12 championship game.
Brian, I've got no follow-up for you. I do want to ask you, what do you have to promote?
Well, as we all know and have all been saying, it is $5 Tuesday here at WagerTalk.com. As has been the case all season, my first college football play for the week, it's available for $5 right now, WT.buzz/BP. It was an atrocious Saturday last week. I owned it on the morning wager yesterday, but we had hit 67%, Prez, for 12 months in college football before last Saturday. So I think that's really good. I was really proud of that. Last conference championship weekend last year was in lovely Boston, Massachusetts. Went 5-0 in the conference championship picks. And I'm up 33 units the last 2 years in the Bulls. So I think that's pretty good. Speaks for itself. We're going to bounce back from Saturday. And the first play is already locked and loaded.
There we go. Bryan Power, everybody. Thanks for joining us, my friend. So one of our listeners, Copley, wrote, should there be a vote whether to bring Teddy back or change it up? So guys, we're going to put this to bed. But the bottom line is Teddy is too busy to do the show, and it was affecting him in a negative way. He does so many shows. You know, for instance, the B6 segment on Monday, that takes him hours and hours to prepare. Our priority is to provide winning bets to our clients. Everything over and above that is gravy. It is hard enough to find 1 or 2 bets on a daily basis to win, let alone prepare 7 free picks for the shows you do, prepare follow-up questions for the guests that come on, prepare a big game breakdown and the B6 segment, and do it all before 9 a.m. PST. So Teddy will be back. Teddy's going nowhere. We are in the middle of changing the show. This week is a bridge week. I'm hosting the show alone. But starting next week or the week after, we will be having a co-host every single day. We will be redoing the format of the show. And on that note, I ask you guys, because you guys are the best listeners, clients, followers, etc. in the world. I mean, Rochester Johnny, Javier, Copley, Brian Nichols, Waj, Legs, Titans, Pezzy. You're here every single day. Tell us in the comments section after the show goes up, what do you suggest the format of Wager Talk Today should be? What are we missing? What would make this show even better than it is? Let us know. We're in the process of doing that all now. We're so appreciative of you guys being here with us. And also, if you like what you're hearing, please take a second out of your day and hit that thumbs up button. 187,000 subscribers. So much love for you guys. Thank you for that. Ronald Cabang joining us. Ronald, one of the best NBA experts around and also in the middle of an outstanding NFL season. I think you had a great Sunday, if I'm right. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, no, Sunday was great. It was a good bounce back week because the prior week was my worst of the season, but still up over 36 units, I think, in the NFL, nearly 30 units in the NBA. So everything going well right now. 13-1 run. I lost yesterday. My undefeated streak went out the window yesterday. So trying to get back on track. 13-1 in the NBA though. So it's been a good run.
Yeah. Well, and yeah. Your NBA is ridiculous, dude. I would really like a nice 13-1 run. Let's turn our attention to some NBA. You like the Oklahoma Thunder tonight, minus 14.5. That's a big favorite. Tell us why.
Yeah, it's actually come down to 13.5, so it's a better number than what I was taking last night. They're one of the best teams in the league, the number 1 defense. They're also a close second into Boston in net rating this season as well. They take care of business against these lower tier opponents like the Jazz. They're 6-0 straight up, 4-2 against the spread as double-digit favorites this season. They're holding opponents to those 6 opponents to 97.3 points per game. On the opposite side, you look at the Jazz and how they do as double-digit underdogs. They've consistently struggled. They're 0-5 straight up. I think it's a 2-3 ATS, but for the most part, they're losing by double digits. And then if you look at the Thunder defense, I mentioned they're number 1 in the league. They dominate there, especially at home. And one of the things that they really do well is force turnovers, and the Jazz are dead last in their turnover rate as well. So I think the Thunder's ability to create turnovers, generate transition opportunities is a bad matchup for the Jazz, because also transition defense is something that the Jazz struggle with. Also a bounce back spot for the Thunder here. They also need to win by margin in case it comes down to point differential for the cup standings as well. So that's why I'm not scared to lay the 13.5 or 14.5 that it was last night. I think they should win by margin.
Ronald, my follow-up question isn't specific to this game, but more specific to handicapping in general. And what I want to know from you is, okay, you like this play, it's minus 14.5. Then you come on the show and clearly money is going against you and it's minus 13.5. How does that make you firstly feel? And is that something that is important? Are you going to maybe bet less knowing that there's some smart guys coming in against you, or does it just not matter to you at all?
No, I think for me, I feel like I handicap a lot different than other people. Like I try to do my own numbers. I don't really take into account what other people do or say. So when my numbers align, when my trends align, when my systems align, I would go in that direction. And if people who's been with me as clients for however long it's been, they know that there's chances, or there's days where the number goes against us and we win. There's days when the numbers go with us and we lose, right? So sometimes the numbers are the numbers, and I just got to trust the handicap that I do. And over the long period, people who have been with me understand that we win more than we lose. So at the end of the day, the number goes the other way. It doesn't bother me at all.
So we've got, I don't know, what would you call this? The injury game? Philadelphia -4.5 against Charlotte. And just to give everybody perspective, Drummond, Jackson, Martin, Abid, Lowry, all out. Bridges, Jeffries, Williams, Ball, Mann, Williams. I don't know who's playing in this game. And I don't know how anybody could get near this Philadelphia 76ers team. There is something seriously wrong in Philadelphia right now. And I understand that they won their last game. That 111-96 against Detroit in Detroit. And look, Detroit is a bad team. But this is a 4-14 basketball team. And it feels like there's just bad juju going on in Philly. Yet you like the Sixers tonight. Is this a bet on the Sixers or against the Hornets?
For me, it's a little bit of both. I mean, if you look at the Sixers side, you talked about that little momentum win against the Pistons. I think that was a good one for them. Obviously, Paul George came back. Embiid is still out, but they're facing a roster that is super depleted right now. No LaMelo, no Miles Bridges, Trey Mann, Grant Williams are all out. I mean, that's a lot of offense on that side, a lot of playmakers as well. That's going to put a lot of pressure on Brandon Williams, who's he's a young player. He can score, but he's also an inefficient scorer. It takes a lot of volume to get up there in his points props if you guys are looking in that direction. But I think that Hornets depth issue is what you got to fade here, because it's going to be tough for them to really keep pace with the Sixers. Obviously, they're dealing with injuries as well. But if you have guys like McCain, PG, and Maxey, all very talented offensive players here, and I think this group here specifically, them three to me, they seem really unselfish. They seem like they want to get on the right side. Obviously, Embiid not being in the lineup might be a better thing for them right now, based on what you were talking about, the off-court issues and all that stuff too. But Maxey himself, man, he's been putting up a monster year, 26 plus in 3 of the last 4 games. I think the Sixers defense is also pretty decent. I think Paul George is an underrated, defender as well. I think he's going to bring that impact to the court. And then obviously the Hornets, they've really struggled. I think in the last 4 out of 5 games or 3 out of 4 games or something like that, they haven't even reached 100 points. So you bring defense back, you bring a little bit of momentum on their side. Philly has to be the right side. It's one of those things. I mean, if you listen to Ski sometimes, he says teams are favored for a reason, and this might be one of those cases. A 4-14 team being a road favorite, there has to be a reason why, and I think it's because of the Hornets being so depleted.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting point you make about, conceptually, why would a team so bad, not only 4-14, but 2-7 straight up on the road, and now they got to win by 5. I love that concept of, hey, there must be a reason. And when people look at that, and this is across all sports, that's something that needs to be taken into account. There must be a reason why, because, it seems like Charlotte is too good to be true. Plus 4.5 at home against the lowly Philadelphia 76ers. So I love that statement. And dude, it really feels like they're hating on Embiid. I mean, the players, the organization, the fans. It's time for him to go. Are there odds on him being traded?
I bet you that you can find some. I mean, I think it's best for the organization for him to get out of there, in my opinion, too. Like I said, I think McCain and Maxey being there, those 2 young guys, that's a good group of unselfish guards that I feel like will be a very promising future for them, in my opinion, if they build through those guys. And I think it's time for change. Obviously, trust the process and all that stuff. I don't know if you can trust it anymore based on all the things that have happened. But if he would move, I think he would probably move by the trade deadline, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just putting my hand up as a Toronto guy, we'll take him. Ronald Cabang, 13-1 NBA run, number 1 overall since September 1st in profit at 99 units, 60% in the NFL. I don't know how it gets better than that, Ronald, and it's been consistent as well. You've really avoided any major slumps throughout that period of time. Outstanding work. It's $5 Tuesday. What do you have going with the clients tonight?
Yeah, the $5 play is a 4% NFL play for Monday Night Football. Like Prez said, running really well in the NFL right now. At one point, I was number one in NFL and NBA on Sunday. I didn't have a NFL game and someone took over. So we have a 5% play on NFL Sunday. My 5% plays are 17-3 this year. That's the best win percentage and ROI at WagerTalk for 5% plays. Also have 3 NBA plays today over at WagerTalk as well. Also, real quick plugging themoneybar.com. It's the site I use to handicap the NBA and NFL. Huge reason why I have had success in those 2 leagues, as well as finishing number 1 in WNBA as well. It has all the stuff I need to really handicap the game. So themoneybar.com is the way to go.
There we go. Ronald Cabang joining us. Thanks for being with us, Ron. Shout out to Teddy Covers, Bryan Power, and Ronald Cabang. Great show, but it is not done. It's time for your daily presidential address. Okay, guys, so I'm Lawrence Pressman. It's your daily presidential address. We're going to take apart the Atlanta Falcons, Minnesota Vikings game. It is plus 5.5 for Atlanta. Total here of 45.5, and this game is in Minnesota. So before we get into that, a real quick mention. It is $5 Customer Appreciation Day at WagerTalk. $5 for any play from a handicapper of your choice. I have got a 5% college football total. It is my first college football total 5% play of the entire season. I am 69% in college football totals on the year. So please head over to WagerTalk and grab that. And if you're a first-time buyer, you've never purchased from us before, this is the day to do it. It's only $5. See what my play is. Read my analysis. Let's win together, and hopefully you'll become a long-term client of Wager Talks. Okay, so Atlanta, Minnesota. What to make of this Falcons team? Not only have they lost 3 straight games, but they are playing horrible. Cousins just threw 4 interceptions against the Chargers, and they put up 13 points. The week before that, Cousins put up 173 yards, 1 interception, no touchdowns, and they scored 3 points. Kirk Cousins has not thrown a touchdown in 3 straight games. He has, however, thrown 6 interceptions. So what is going on in Falcons land? They had this division wrapped up early. Now they're tied with Tampa Bay, and although they own the tiebreaker, they still got to start winning some football games. And as for this Minnesota team, good teams find ways to win games even when they don't play their best. And that's exactly what they did against Arizona last week. They did not play well, yet they won that football game. Minnesota has won 5 straight. And honestly, they have no room to lose football games. If they want to hunt down the Detroit Lions and not only win the division, but likely get home field advantage for the entire playoffs, they can't lose. So what do we do in this game? What do we do in a game where Kirk Cousins is returning to Minnesota? Well, we're going to take everything I just said and we're going to throw it into the garbage. We're going with the Falcons here at plus 5. First off, this could just be a really bad 3-game stretch for Atlanta, and we see this every year. San Fran made the Super Bowl last year. They had a 3-game awful stretch. Now, I'm not implying that Atlanta is San Fran, and I'm not suggesting that this is, a really good team who had a bad 3 games. But maybe they're a really good team who had a bad 3 games. I mean, they were playing lights out football before this 3-game stretch. But even if they're a mediocre team who lost 3 games in a row, Kirk Cousins is coming back to Minnesota. And if that does not get this Atlanta team up, nothing is going to get them up. This is a huge motivating factor and a huge component to the handicap. Not only that, but they're getting 5 points. 5 points is a lot of points, guys. Minnesota is not destroying football teams right now. Minnesota is finding their offense to be slightly inconsistent of late. Minnesota is sort of reminding me of KC a bit, where they're winning games, but they're winning them with smoke and mirrors. They're playing bad opponents who are struggling. I think Minnesota is ripe for a huge letdown. I think Minnesota is set up for a loss on Sunday. The marketplace is undervaluing this Atlanta team. They are not giving them the respect that they deserve because they played 3 horrible games in a row. This Atlanta team is better than what they've shown. Not only that, but 0-6 touchdown to interception ratio by Kirk Cousins. Sounds like he's saving all his touchdowns for this game. I think Kirk is going to be lights out this game. Life always comes back to the means. If you flip a coin 50 times in a row and it lands on heads all 50 times, the next 50 is going to be tails. Okay, that's not technically true. But if you then roll it 1,000 times, it's going to end up being 50-50. In other words, Atlanta is not nearly as bad as they look. Minnesota is not nearly as good as they've looked. Everything works itself out. I think Atlanta can not only cover 5, but I think they can win this game outright. Take Atlanta plus the 5 or 5.5 against Minnesota, and let's all cash together. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tomorrow's show will have Ralph Michaels, Kyle Anthony, and Art to Caesar. We'll see you then.